Hibiki Manabe, just an ordinary student, suddenly finds himself transported into a completely different world without any warning at all. Bro skipped the tutorial and spawned directly into hard mode. Confused, alone, and unable to understand what is happening, he quickly realizes that this new place is far more dangerous than he expected when a creature called a horn rabbit suddenly starts chasing him. Average first-day experience in another world? In the middle of panicking and desperately trying to escape, Hibiki trips and falls backward. By pure accident, the monster ends up impaling itself on his backpack with its own horn instead of killing him. Luck builds carrying harder than actual skill. Even though it happens entirely out of luck, it still becomes Hibiki's very first real survival experience in this unfamiliar world. After finally calming down a little, Hibiki tries to figure out where exactly he is. He checks his phone, hoping for some kind of signal, but there is no service at all. Bro really thought fantasy worlds come with Wi-Fi. He starts wondering about the strange voice he heard earlier, but then convinces himself that maybe he was only imagining things because of stress. While staring at the dead rabbit beside him, he quietly wonders out loud if its meat is edible. Man adapted to survival mode immediately. To his shock, the mysterious voice suddenly answers him directly, saying that it will appraise the rabbit. The voice explains that the meat is edible and even tastes especially good in stews. Not wanting to waste possible food, Hibiki decides to carry the rabbit with him just in case. At the same time, he becomes even more curious about the strange voice and starts asking it more questions. Eventually, he asks the voice to appraise him instead. Through that, he learns that he possesses several skills, including a unique ability as an appraiser. Imagine finding out your career path from a random voice in the woods. While examining his abilities further, he discovers one called World Map. Using it, he manages to locate the nearest town and decides to head there immediately. As he continues traveling, Hibiki eventually reaches a road. But his bad luck follows him once again when a canine-type monster suddenly attacks him out of nowhere. The universe saw him relax for 2 seconds and said absolutely not. Just when he is about to get overwhelmed, a skilled adventurer named Amalia appears and effortlessly defeats the creature, saving his life before things can get worse. Afterward, she introduces herself and asks if he is hurt. Looking at her appearance, Hibiki honestly starts thinking that she might just be cosplaying as an elf. Seriously, what website has Bro been on? Amalia clearly has no idea what cosplay even means and becomes confused by his comment instead. She then asks him what he is doing in the Maze-Eater grassland. Hibiki gets confused and asks what that even is. Hearing that, Amalia becomes genuinely shocked and asks if he seriously entered the area without even knowing where he was. Zero map knowledge, full confidence. Hibiki tries explaining that it was more like he suddenly appeared there out of nowhere. Curious about her identity, Hibiki secretly appraises Amalia. Through that, he realizes that he is apparently the only one capable of hearing the appraisal voice, since Amalia shows no reaction at all. He also learns that she really is an elf and that she is actually 56 years old, which completely shocks him. Fantasy ages always do emotional damage. Amalia continues explaining that maze-eaters are monsters that camouflage themselves within grasslands. They do not directly attack people right away. Instead, they wait until travelers become exhausted and lost before finally consuming them. Once she realizes that Hibiki truly knew nothing about any of this, she suddenly hugs him and tells him that he is safe now. She praises him for surviving on his own and says it is honestly impressive for a child. Hibiki immediately asks how old she thinks he is. Amalia casually answers that he looks around 11 or maybe 12 years old. Hibiki then reveals that he is actually 16, causing Amalia to instantly push him away in disbelief, while complaining that he is way too tiny to already be considered an adult. That night, the two of them camped together. During their time resting, Amalia explains more about the world Hibiki has entered, including information about the Kingdom of Habrastia, which is where they currently are. She once again becomes shocked when she realizes that Hibiki does not even know something as basic as that. Hibiki awkwardly tells her that he came from somewhere very far away. Hearing that, Amalia reassures him and promises that she will safely guide him to the nearest city. Later during the night, Hibiki suddenly wakes up and starts thinking about his friends back home. Feeling restless, he checks his stats again, hoping they will somehow make more sense this time, but they only leave him even more confused than before. Ro opened the settings menu and got even more lost. Eventually, he gives up trying to understand them and decides to go back to sleep. The next morning, the two continue traveling toward town together. While walking, Amalia reassures Hibiki that he does not need to worry about monsters, because she will protect him if anything attacks. However, she also admits that it is still incredible how he can sense nearby danger so easily. Hibiki explains that it is because of his world map skill, which immediately shocks Amalia. She tells him that it is an extremely rare ability. Curious now, she asks him what his actual job is. Hibiki answers that he is a provisional appraiser. Amalia immediately questions whether he is joking. Even she thought that class name sounded unemployed. Hibiki honestly tells her that he does not fully understand it either. He then asks if the skill is really that amazing since, from his perspective, it only shows him places he has already visited and warns him whenever people or monsters are nearby. Hearing that explanation leaves Amalia completely stunned. She asks how he still cannot understand how unbelievably useful that ability is for survival, and tells him that countless adventurers would gladly kill to obtain a skill like that. Not long afterward, Hibiki senses something unusual nearby through his appraisal abilities. After checking more carefully, he discovers that a rare monster called a crystal horn rabbit is close to them. The moment Amalia hears that, she becomes extremely excited and impatient. She explains that crystal horn rabbits are incredibly difficult to find and can easily be sold for 200 gold coins. Her eyes turned into cash registers instantly. Seeing a huge opportunity, Amalia eagerly rushes toward the monster, hoping to show off her strength and impress Hibiki at the same time. However, her first attempt at defeating the creature completely fails, proving that even she cannot handle such a monster alone. The rabbit said skill issue. Realizing how dangerous the situation actually is, Hibiki and Amalia decide to work together instead. By combining Hibiki's analytical abilities with Amalia's combat skills, the two finally manage to defeat the crystal horn rabbit together. It becomes their first true success as an actual team. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the world, a mysterious adventurer named Ival arrives at the Adventurers Guild. After quietly registering himself, he immediately sets off with a certain goal already in mind, hinting that his path may soon cross with Hibiki's journey. After arriving in the town of Lowell, Amalia immediately throws a cape over Hibiki's clothes because she thinks his appearance stands out way too much. She then pulls out the crystal horn rabbit horn and tells him that once they sell it, he should use the money to buy proper clothes. She also mentions that the horn should easily sell for at least 200 gold coins, and with that amount, he could even afford weapons and armor as well. Through this conversation, Hibiki quickly starts understanding just how valuable money is in this world after learning that a single gold coin is worth around 10,000 yen. Man discovered inflation before discovering magic properly. At the same time, Amalia warns him to be careful about the way he talks. She explains that his lack of experience and outsider mindset could easily make him a target for manipulation if he is not cautious. Once they enter the Adventurers Guild together, one of the adventurers immediately teases Amalia by asking if she finally managed to form a party. He then looks at Hibiki and comments that he does not even look like an adventurer before jokingly asking if she picked up a babysitting job instead. Bro got hit with emotional damage before even registering. Amalia responds by saying that even if Hibiki looks like that, he is actually an adult. The two then approach the receptionist, Jewel. Amalia tells her that she has an item she wants to sell and asks if a separate room could be prepared. Jewel guides them to a private room where Hibiki meets the guildmaster, Balls Deliard. The moment Hibiki sees him, he becomes completely amazed by how muscular he is. Man saw one gym bro and entered fan mode instantly. He immediately walks up to him and starts admiring his physique, complaining that his own body has a small frame and that he cannot build muscles no matter how much he trains. The two instantly get carried away in an overly dramatic conversation about physical training and building strength. Meanwhile, both Jewel and Amalia are already completely tired of listening to them, so the two women suddenly cast a water magic spell that smashes both men to the ground. After regaining consciousness, everyone finally settles down properly. Jewel formally introduces herself to Hibiki, explaining that she is both the receptionist and the vice guild master. After that, she asks Amalia what exactly she wants to sell. Amalia then reveals the crystal horn rabbit horn, immediately impressing Balls Deliard. He comments that it is even larger than the one the guild acquired 3 years ago. Amalia asks how much he is willing to pay for it, and he offers 400 gold coins. Hearing that number, Hibiki initially assumes that Amalia must be thrilled since she originally estimated half that amount. However, when he looks at her, she instead has a completely serious expression on her face. She asks Balls Deliard whether he is taking her for a fool. She activated Merchant Boss Battle Mode immediately. Hibiki becomes completely speechless as Amalia points out that the horn sold 3 years ago was purchased for around 230 gold coins, and since this horn is 3 times larger, she believes they should at least be offered double his original proposal. She confidently declares that they are looking for 800 gold coins instead. Hibiki becomes even more shocked at the negotiation because, in his mind, the calculations are not making any sense at all. Bro failed math emotionally. Balls Deliard argues that the guild cannot afford that price, leading to both sides repeatedly bargaining back and forth. Eventually, Amalia threatens to simply sell the horn to the Adventurers Guild in the capital instead. Faced with no other choice, Balls Deliard finally gives in and agrees to purchase it for 700 gold coins. Right after that, Jewel calmly informs Balls Deliard that the amount exceeded the guild's budget and that the extra cost will simply be deducted from his salary instead. That man lost a financial PvP match. Meanwhile, Amalia becomes secretly excited because she starts thinking that Hibiki might finally ask her to form a party with him. In her excitement, the buttons on her outfit suddenly pop open again. Physics left the chat. An awkward silence immediately fills the room before Jewel instantly throws both Hibiki and Balls Deliard outside, saying that she and Amalia need to discuss the remaining transaction details privately and ordering them to wait outside instead. Around this time, Hibiki's mysterious tutorial skill suddenly levels up, allowing a divine being to directly communicate with him. The entity explains that the skill functions as a kind of relief system for individuals who possess low survival chances. The heavens themselves said this boy needs assistance immediately. In simple terms, it exists to guide Hibiki and help him survive in this dangerous world, though it also reminds him that staying alive ultimately depends on his own choices and actions. Not long afterward, Amalia is forced to return to her homeland, leaving Hibiki alone for the first time since arriving in this world. Staying at a local inn, he begins dedicating himself to learning a new ability called Medical Book. However, mastering the skill requires intense focus and heavy mental endurance. During this period, Hibiki also starts growing emotionally attached to his system and eventually gives it the nickname Sapo-chan. Bro named the voice in his head before getting actual friends. His training soon becomes important when a man named Jade is suddenly brought in while standing at death's door. Jade is later revealed to be the half-brother of Vice Guild Master Jewel. He has been poisoned by Deereth poison, a deadly toxin that prevents blood from clotting and leaves him with only minutes left to survive. Although Hibiki understands exactly how to treat the poison, he quickly realizes that he does not possess enough MP to perform the advanced healing spell required to save him. The spell requires 650 MP, far beyond his own limit. Mana's bill is higher than his entire career stats. Thinking quickly, Hibiki decides to use his rare contract skill, which allows him to temporarily borrow magical energy from nearby adventurers, as well as from Jewel herself. With all of their combined magic power, Hibiki successfully performs an advanced healing spell, completely neutralizing the poison and restoring Jade's damaged body. Afterward, Hibiki's job level increases, and even his translation skill improves as well, showing just how quickly he is developing in this world. However, Jewel immediately warns him that abilities like his are extremely dangerous to reveal publicly. A healer capable of performing miracles at that level would naturally attract the attention of powerful people who may try to control or exploit him for their own benefit. Congratulations! He unlocked rich people's problems. To stay safe, she advises Hibiki to keep his powers hidden and even suggests hiring a bodyguard since he still lacks proper combat ability himself. As things finally begin calming down again, Sapo-chan suddenly reveals that Hibiki has earned a rather unexpected title known as Older Woman Killer. The reason behind it is surprisingly simple. His naturally gentle personality, combined with his youthful baby face, tends to attract affection and attention from older women around him. Even though the title sounds mostly humorous, it still hints that Hibiki's presence is slowly starting to stand out more and more within this new world, whether he realizes it or not. Hibiki eventually visits a hiring agency known as the Debbie Company in hopes of finding a bodyguard. There, a man named Ajarathan Debbie introduces himself to him. Hibiki explains that he is looking to hire someone capable of protecting him. However, the moment Ajarathan gets close to Hibiki, he suddenly reacts in a very unusual way, after apparently sensing some kind of scent coming from him. Bro got sniffed like a limited edition product. His strange behavior completely confuses Hibiki, who awkwardly tells him that he already took a shower. Ajarathan calmly responds by announcing that Hibiki carries a delightful fragrance. This conversation went somewhere nobody expected. Putting that strange interaction aside, Ajarathan eventually brings out 5 candidates and asks Hibiki to choose one of them. However, Hibiki ends up rejecting every single option. He honestly feels a little guilty about it because he does not actually have complaints regarding any of their strength or abilities. The real issue is that he specifically needs someone with an extremely high amount of MP. In dangerous situations, he wants to be able to use Perfect Heal and Hypercure from his medical book skill, and for that he requires a massive supply of magical energy. Man, building a party entirely around mana bills. After hearing this, Ajarathan says that he can continue searching for more suitable specimens that may satisfy Hibiki's preferences. A moment later, he suggests that Hibiki might honestly have better luck finding someone himself instead. Hibiki quickly realizes that this is probably true and decides that personally choosing someone would likely be the best option. As the two continue walking through the long corridors together, Hibiki apologizes for being difficult. Ajarathon immediately assures him that it is not a problem at all and encourages him to continue being honest about exactly what he wants. Suddenly, Ajarathon becomes excited once again and loudly declares that the scent of financial fortune surrounding Hibiki has grown even stronger. This man can smell future tax brackets. Hibiki becomes suspicious that this might actually be some kind of skill, so he secretly appraises Ajarathon. Sure enough, he discovers that Ajarathon possesses an inherent ability related to money. The skill allows him to smell an incredibly beautiful scent coming from people who are destined to obtain enormous wealth in the near future. Even though Hibiki does not fully understand the mechanics behind the skill, he comes to the simple conclusion that Ajarathon must really love money, capitalism, but make it magical. Eventually, Ajarathon stops in front of another area and explains that the people here have certain flaws. He says that he would not normally recommend them because they are not suitable for work or combat, and due to various circumstances, they are unable to return to their homelands. He then explains that he simply allowed them to stay there out of kindness. Hearing that immediately makes Hibiki think about his own situation since he also cannot return home. Curious now, he asks Ajarathon to take him to them. The moment he says that, Ajarathon once again becomes overly excited and announces that the scent of fortune has become even more powerful than before. Bro started vibrating over imaginary profit margins. After calming himself down again, he leads Hibiki into a room where several individuals are being kept inside cages. While looking through one of the cages, Hibiki notices a large wolf named Claude alongside a small girl named Lillian, who tightly clings to him. Hibiki immediately asks why Claude is locked up in a cage. Ajarathon explains that Claude went on a rampage while trying to protect the girl. He adds that the situation was mostly a misunderstanding, but rules are still rules. Ajarathon then explains that Lillian was appraised as someone possessing magical abilities, but she cannot properly control her magic. Because of that, her power bursts out uncontrollably and creates dangerous situations around her. Literal walking patch update bug. Before Ajarathon can continue speaking further, Claude angrily interrupts him and orders Hibiki to leave them alone. Hibiki gets startled by the aggressive reaction, but he still decides to appraise Claude. During the appraisal, he notices that some of Claude's information appears hidden. Using his advanced appraisal skill, Expert Eye, which he learned is considered a divine-level ability, Hibiki uncovers the truth behind both Claude and Lillian's conditions. He discovers that their statuses have been manipulated, and that both of them are suffering from powerful hidden curses. Claude is revealed to actually be a hero, whose abilities have been restricted and weakened. Meanwhile, Lillian is identified as a future sage burdened with an extremely dangerous skill called Torrent of the Divine Realm. These titles getting longer than job applications. The ability continuously causes her magic to overflow uncontrollably, placing her life in constant danger because her body cannot properly contain such overwhelming power. Unable to ignore their suffering after learning the truth, Hibiki decides to hire both of them immediately and begins searching for a way to save them. By forming a contract with Lillian, Hibiki gains access to additional MP, allowing him to finally cast advanced healing magic. Using Perfect Heal together with a special ability known as Relief Measure, he successfully breaks one of the cursed chains binding Claude and partially restores his lost strength. Filled with gratitude after being freed, Claude performs a sacred ritual called the Ceremony of Allegiance. Under the witness of a spirit of light, he pledges lifelong loyalty to Hibiki. Bro accidentally built a loyal squad by being nice once. As the group later travels together, Claude explains more about Hibiki's true existence. Hibiki possesses the tutorial skill and also carries the title Drifter from another world, marking him as someone summoned from another realm under the direct protection of the chief god, the highest-ranking deity among the 11 gods. This revelation confirms that Hibiki's abilities and existence are far from ordinary and are directly connected to divine powers. Man went from random student to divine premium account. Soon afterward, the situation escalates even further when the god of magic personally appears before them. She acknowledges that Lillian's dangerous condition was essentially the result of a mistake and decides to personally intervene in order to fix it. Even the gods admitted the system needed maintenance. By modifying Hibiki's magic grimoire, she creates a system that automatically regulates Lillian's magical output, preventing her from harming herself through uncontrolled power overflow. However, this divine intervention also comes with consequences. As punishment for the chief god's carelessness, the god of magic temporarily disables Hibiki's expert eye and tutorial skills, leaving him without his usual guidance and support. Admin privileges revoked temporarily. To help stabilize the group after all of this, the god of magic sends them a holy beast named Veni, a small cat-like creature tasked with assisting Lillian in controlling her magic. With Veni joining them, the group gains both practical support and emotional comfort as well. Every fantasy team legally requires one mascot. Later, the group visits a hot spring in order to finally rest and recover from everything that has happened. During this time, Amalia, Stelia, and Ivel discuss friendship together while bathing. Amalia attempts to wash Ivel's back as a way of closing the emotional distance between them. Meanwhile, Hibiki and the others spend time relaxing alongside Vene. They become fascinated by the texture of the holy beast's paws, noticing that the paw pads feel slightly firm like the soles of boots, while the fingers themselves are surprisingly soft and squishy. Entire squad distracted by cat beans. After everything the group has endured, the peaceful atmosphere creates a rare and comforting moment of calm. The four Hibiki, Claude, Lillian, and Vene head into town to prepare for their upcoming journey by purchasing proper equipment and supplies. While looking through the available gear, Claude chooses a set of light armor along with a spear. He explains to Hibiki that full heavy armor may provide strong defense, but during long battles, it quickly becomes unbearably hot and uncomfortable, so maintaining balance is more important than simply wearing the heaviest equipment possible. Finally, someone using common sense instead of RPG logic. Meanwhile, Lillian quietly chooses a very simple set of clothes that only costs 25 gold coins. The low price immediately shocks Claude, who thinks the outfit is far too cheap. Hearing that reaction makes Lillian hesitate, and she starts refusing to buy it at all. Hibiki gently reassures her instead, telling her that her safety matters far more than the money. Meanwhile, Hibiki's wallet is crying in the background. He also encourages her to choose a proper staff for herself, while asking her to stop calling him Hibiki-sama all the time. After a shy moment of hesitation, Lillian finally starts calling him Oni-chan instead, bringing the two emotionally closer together. The adoption arc is progressing rapidly. At the same time, Veni chooses a blue metallic collar decorated with a red gemstone that costs 15 gold coins. Kat immediately picked the premium cosmetic item. Watching everyone buy things quickly makes Hibiki realize that his money is disappearing much faster than expected, and if he does not start accepting quests soon, he will probably run out completely. Soon afterward, Veni begins magic training for both Hibiki and Lillian. During the lesson, Hibiki asks what exactly a grimoire is. His support system explains that a grimoire is considered a highly advanced technical skill with an AA rarity ranking. Hearing that instantly excites Hibiki because he starts imagining himself learning powerful magic spells. Man already pictured himself nuking mountains. However, Veni immediately crushes those expectations by explaining that Hibiki will most likely only be capable of using household magic instead of actual combat magic. Bro got assigned the dishwasher class. Although Hibiki feels disappointed hearing that, Lillian tries to encourage him by pointing out that even household magic can still be extremely useful in daily life. Then shifts the focus towards stabilizing Lillian's unstable magic power. In order for that process to work, Hibiki must officially become her guardian. Veni accomplishes this by biting Hibiki's hand and forming a magical connection between him and Lillian. The training then moves on to learning magic power circulation, but Hibiki struggles badly to understand the concept. Seeing this, Veni asks Claude to send only a tiny amount of magic into Hibiki so he can experience it directly. However, Claude accidentally sends far too much power. Average my bad moment before disaster. As a result, Hibiki suddenly sinks deep into Claude's consciousness and begins experiencing fragments of his memories. Inside those memories, Hibiki sees a beautiful elf woman named Anastasia. For a brief moment, it feels as though Hibiki himself becomes Claude, reliving parts of Claude's past through his own eyes. He experiences scenes of them training together, fighting beside one another, and sharing deeply emotional moments. Eventually, the memory reaches a scene beneath a red moon before abruptly ending, leaving Hibiki mentally shaken. After returning to reality, Hibiki feels confused and briefly struggles with his own sense of identity before finally regaining himself. Man got emotional trauma installed directly into his brain. Vena immediately scolds Claude for carelessly sending too much magic and then starts teasing Hibiki about the memories he ended up witnessing. Later, back at the inn, Hibiki attempts to learn household magic by trying to use it for cleaning. Unfortunately, no matter what he does, the skill refuses to activate properly. Claude and Lillian eventually join him, and through several clumsy accidents, the cleaning gradually spirals into something much bigger. At one point, Claude accidentally spills an entire bucket near the doorway, forcing Hibiki to clean even more areas repeatedly. Eventually, Hibiki somehow ends up cleaning the entire hallway despite still failing to activate the magic skill successfully. Even so, their efforts still earn praise from Tanya, who rewards them with extra food afterward, hard labor paying in snacks as usual. Later, Claude begins teaching Hibiki archery. However, Hibiki misses every single shot he takes and quickly realizes just how difficult archery actually is. Watching Amalia use a bow before had made it seem far easier than it really was. Anime accuracy completely lied to this man. As the training continues, Hibiki's hands become sore from repeated practice. Claude then tells him to use his medical book skill to heal himself before continuing the training, pushing him to keep practicing rather than giving up. Meanwhile, Amalia, Stelia, and Ivel continue traveling on their own journey. Eventually, they arrive at a fork in the road where one of the paths leads toward a ruined fortress rumored to be haunted. Despite the obvious danger, Ivel deliberately chooses that route because he hopes hidden treasure may still exist inside. Greed is truly stronger than survival instincts. After entering the fortress, both Amalia and Stelia suddenly fall victim to an illusion. What appears to be treasure in front of them is actually nothing more than dried leaves, and even their actions become distorted under the illusion's effects. Ivel eventually uses magic to break the illusion and reveal the true danger hidden within the fortress. Back with Hibiki's group, everyone works together to prepare a meal. They cook horned rabbit skewers alongside mushroom soup, and the food turns out surprisingly well, allowing everyone to enjoy a peaceful moment together. Later, when Hibiki asks about apples for dessert, it turns out Claude secretly hid them after failing to prepare them properly himself. Lillian immediately points out his mistake, causing the group to start teasing Claude, especially regarding his terrible cooking abilities. War hero, defeated by apples. Sometime afterward, Hibiki finally learns a new household magic skill called Bubble Wash while collecting water from a nearby river. Right then, his support system suddenly alerts him about an approaching monster known as a rushing boar. Claude quickly steps forward and defeats the creature using his spear techniques before it can become dangerous. Afterward, Lillian uses odor isolation magic to prevent the smell from attracting additional monsters to the area. Once the danger passes, Claude teaches Hibiki how to properly butcher the boar. Afterward, Hibiki decides to test Bubble Wash on Claude himself. Since none of them have ever seen magic used in that way on a person before, everyone watches curiously. The bubbles completely cover Claude's body, and once they disappear, every trace of dirt and grime vanishes along with them, leaving him perfectly clean. The unexpectedly effective result surprises everyone and reveals a completely new and unusual way Hibiki's household magic can actually be useful. Ep 5. As Hibiki, Claude, Lillian, and Seipo-chan slowly realize that their funds are running out much faster than expected, the group decides to officially register themselves as a party and start taking on F-rank guild quests in order to support themselves financially. The unemployment arc officially ended. The work they receive is fairly simple and not particularly glamorous, but it provides them with a stable way to earn money while gradually adjusting to life as adventurers. Side quests paying just enough to keep the lights on. During one of these routine jobs, the group runs into Hibiki's acquaintance, Balls. However, things quickly become tense after Claude and Balls begin arguing over the proper way Hibiki should train. Balls strongly believes Hibiki should focus more on building physical strength, while Claude argues that Hibiki's current abilities and limitations need to be balanced carefully instead of forcing him into direct combat training. What starts as a disagreement soon escalates into a short but intense clash between the two. Although the skirmish does not lead to any serious injuries or consequences, it clearly shows the different opinions people have regarding Hibiki's development and what kind of adventurer he should eventually become. Two grown men beefing over a teenager's workout routine. Around the same time, rumors begin spreading throughout town about a thief who has been specifically targeting wealthy individuals. Seeing this as a possible opportunity to help, Hibiki agrees to act as bait for the investigation. This plan already sounded terrible from the start. To avoid being recognized, he goes undercover in disguise and waits at a cafe in hopes of attracting the thief's attention. Unfortunately, things do not go according to plan at all. The thief eventually appears and easily outsmarts him. She is revealed to be a beast man named Fauna, who possesses a unique skill called tail transformation. Before Hibiki can properly react, she successfully steals his wallet, captures him, and takes him back to her hideout. Bro got kidnapped during his own mission. Despite the situation, Fauna surprisingly does not hurt Hibiki after bringing him there. Instead, she asks him to use his Appraiser provisional skill to evaluate the value of various stolen items she has collected, relying on his abilities to determine what they are worth. Man became a magical pawn shop employee. As Hibiki examines one object after another, he eventually comes across a simple wooden bracelet that clearly means a lot to Fauna. He learns that the bracelet once belonged to her late sister. When Hibiki appraises the bracelet, he notices something unexpected. Rather than sensing any real monetary value, he instead perceives the emotions attached to it, along with a hidden feeling of gratitude left behind within the item itself. Hibiki explains to Fauna that the bracelet's true worth does not come from the material it was made from, but from the feelings and memories connected to it. Therapist mode activated accidentally. That answer deeply affects Fauna. For the first time, someone looks beyond the surface of the stolen objects around her and understands something more meaningful about them. Moved by Hibiki's words, Fauna decides to return the money she stole from him and eventually allows him to leave safely. Before letting him go, she quietly gives him one final piece of advice, warning him to return to his original home before it eventually becomes somewhere he can no longer reach. Suddenly, the vibes got emotionally expensive. After this encounter, Hibiki begins thinking far more seriously about his future and what he truly wants moving forward. He starts expressing a desire to travel in search of a sage, believing that such a person may possess the knowledge or power necessary to help him return to his original world. Bro finally remembered he got isekai'd against his will. At the same time, new rumors begin spreading across different areas regarding a rising and extremely powerful group known as the Dead Slayers. That name alone sounds like the Final Boss soundtrack started playing. With new questions appearing, larger goals beginning to form, and unfamiliar dangers slowly emerging around him, Hibiki's journey gradually starts becoming something far bigger than simple survival alone. Man started with rabbits and somehow unlocked world lore. Hibiki is learning more about the path he must take to return home. Support-chan explains that if he wishes to meet the sage and uncover clues about returning to his original world, he must travel to the underground city of Teradinus. However, reaching it will require passing through the dangerous northern dungeon, a place filled with powerful monsters. Realizing the challenge ahead, Claude insists that Hibiki needs intensive training before attempting such a dangerous journey. Although Hibiki is not thrilled about the idea, Claude drags him into a harsh training camp. While Claude focuses on improving Hibiki's combat skills, Penne argues that building physical strength is equally important. The two constantly debate whether technique or muscle is more valuable, leaving Hibiki caught in the middle. Hibiki feels like he isn't a student anymore. He is the bronze in a never-ending argument. Despite his complaints, he works hard every day. Lillian watches his efforts with admiration and quietly worries about him. Even though Hibiki struggles and often fails, he refuses to give up because he wants to become strong enough to survive and eventually return home. After days of training, Hibiki feels as though he has improved, but when he checks his status, he discovers that his abilities have barely changed. This leaves him disappointed, while Claude and Penne continue arguing over the best way to train him. During a visit to a hot spring, the group enjoys a rare moment of relaxation. There, Hibiki learns more about Claude's past. Claude reveals that he once lived in the capital of the Beast God Kingdom, but his homeland was destroyed. He lost his friends and loved ones during the tragedy, leaving him with painful memories. Despite this, Claude explains that what matters most to him now is staying by Hibiki's side and helping him achieve his goals. His words strengthen the bond between them. Meanwhile, Lillian struggles with her feelings. She fears that one day Hibiki might leave her behind in his search for a way home. Gathering her courage, she finally tells him how much she cares about him and admits that she hates the thought of being separated from him. However, she also wants him to follow his dreams and do what makes him happy. To support him, she prepares a special drink that is supposed to help relieve fatigue. Hibiki gratefully accepts it and is touched by her kindness. Dude drank the mysterious potion with confidence, proving that trust sometimes defeated common sense. The emotional moment helps the two reconcile and strengthens their sibling-like relationship. Elsewhere, a mysterious noblewoman named Anastasia becomes frustrated after learning that her father's important mission may simply involve attending a royal party. At the same time, another mysterious figure named Ebel begins moving behind the scenes. Unknown to Hibiki, she is already preparing a dangerous trap. Later, while hunting monsters and completing guild requests, Hibiki and his companions encounter a young beastwoman adventurer named Ebel. She claims to be an E-rank adventurer who recently escaped from a dangerous silver ruby wolf. Although she appears harmless, Hibiki notices that she does not appear properly on his world map, creating a sense of unease. After she leaves, the group discovers something far worse than expected. Using the information Ipru provided, they travel deeper into the area and suddenly find themselves surrounded by numerous silver wolves. It quickly becomes clear that they have been lured into a trap. During the battle, Claude is severely injured while protecting Hibiki and Lillian. The situation becomes desperate as the wolves overwhelm them. Refusing to abandon his companions, Hibiki desperately searches for a way to save them. His determination activates several new abilities, including powerful healing magic and the unique skill Holy Beast Summon. Through this skill, he summons a mighty divine beast named Anisha, who temporarily regains its true power and drives away the immediate threat. The wolves probably expected an easy meal, not a divine beast crashing the battlefield. Although Anisha cannot remain for long, Hibiki refuses to retreat. He declares that Claude is an important friend and that he will not allow him to die. Motivated by his desire to protect those he cares about, Hibiki unlocks even more powerful support abilities, including a healing skill capable of fully restoring everyone nearby. By the end, Claude survives, the group recovers from the attack, and Hibiki emerges stronger than before. More importantly, he realizes that his greatest strength does not come from his skills, but from his determination to protect the precious companions he refuses to lose. Hibiki and his companions continued their journey through the forest while searching for Claude. Along the way, they were suddenly surrounded by large packs of silver ruby wolves. The monsters attacked from every direction, leaving little room to escape. Even Penne, who usually stayed confident, admitted the situation looked dangerous. However, Hibiki refused to back down. If defeating the wolves would help Claude, then he intended to fight. Just when the battle seemed overwhelming, Supporter informed Hibiki that the special ability called Conductor's Eye had become available again. Activating it dramatically changed the battle. The skill calculated perfect attack trajectories and displayed precise hit chances. Every shot Hibiki fired now carried a 100% chance of success. With Penne and Lillian supporting him, he quickly turned the tide. The wolves never stood a chance against attacks that could not miss. The wolves realized too late that charging at someone with a 100% hit rate was a terrible life decision. During the fight, Penne noticed something strange. The wolves were behaving with unusual intelligence, almost as if they were being controlled by someone. She immediately suspected the silver diamond wolf responsible for the chaos. Her suspicions soon shifted toward a mysterious woman they had encountered earlier named Ibel. Something about her felt familiar, and Penne could not shake the feeling that she was connected to the attacks. Meanwhile, Claude was facing the silver diamond wolf alone. The beast was under the influence of a spirit named Anastasia and possessed a powerful barrier that Hibiki could not break through normally. Claude, poisoned and exhausted, continued fighting despite the hopeless odds. Seeing his condition, Hibiki and the others rushed to help. Lillian fully released her magical power and focused on healing Claude. The group discovered that the poison affecting him was severe and that the wolf itself was also corrupted. Even after multiple healing spells, the situation remained critical. Hibiki realized that simply healing Claude would not solve the real problem. The source of the corruption had to be eliminated. At that moment, Conductor's Eye evolved and unlocked additional functions. Guided by the skill, Hibiki launched a powerful attack that connected his weapon directly to Anastasia. The strike ignored the monster's defenses and pierced through its protection. The silver diamond wolf finally fell. With the creature defeated, the truth came to light. The wolf had been controlled by a fragment of Anastasia's soul. Although she had died long ago, part of her spirit continued possessing monsters and carrying out her lingering will. As the corruption faded, Anastasia briefly regained her senses. She thanked Hibiki for freeing her and apologized to Claude for the suffering she had caused. At last, her soul was able to rest in peace. After the battle, Claude explained the full story. Anastasia had once been one of his companions. She was a spirit mage capable of splitting her soul and controlling monsters. More importantly, she had been one of the people involved in the betrayal that cursed him and ruined his life. However, Claude revealed that she was not the one who had actually cast the curse. Since she was already dead, defeating her would not restore what he had lost. Claude blamed himself for everything that had happened, believing his past had endangered everyone. Hibiki strongly disagreed. He reminded Claude that he was the victim, not the culprit. Claude had been betrayed, cursed, and stripped of nearly everything he valued. None of that was his fault. Claude had collected so much guilt over the years that he could have opened a successful guilt museum. Hearing those words deeply moved Claude, who renewed his oath to serve and protect Hibiki no matter what happened. The strain of using Conductor's Eye eventually caught up with Hibiki. The ability had a strict time limit, and once it expired, he collapsed from exhaustion. While he slept, events unfolded elsewhere. In the realm of the gods, several powerful figures discussed recent developments. They joked about the chaos caused by certain divine creations while also speaking about the balance of the world. One topic concerned the position of a demon lord. Contrary to common belief, demon lords were not automatically evil. The gods simply needed someone suitable to fill the vacant role and maintain order. During the conversation, one goddess found herself wondering about Hibiki. Something about him seemed strangely familiar, though she could not remember why. Another deity dismissed the concern but quietly admitted that Hibiki's survival was becoming increasingly important. When Hibiki finally woke up 2 days later, he discovered he had gained a tremendous amount of experience. His level had risen dramatically, and his appraisal skill had improved as well. The supporter warned him not to overuse Conductor's Eye in the future because the burden on his body was enormous. Hibiki learned that being overpowered was great right up until it came with a 2-day nap penalty. Elsewhere, Princess Amelia returned to her homeland after receiving a summons from the king. During a royal gathering, the kingdom celebrated the appearance of 2 legendary classes. Prince Verdelis had become a hero, while another noble had received the Sage class. The king proudly announced that they would lead the fight against future demon lords. The celebration quickly became uncomfortable for Amelia when Verdelis publicly declared his intention to marry her after achieving victory. Rather than feeling honored, she found his confidence incredibly irritating. After leaving the gathering, she decided she had no interest in remaining there and immediately began planning her departure. Back with Hibiki and his companions, the group shared a large meal to celebrate their victory and recovery. During the conversation, Hibiki finally spoke honestly about his goals. He wanted to return to his original world because his family and friends were waiting for him. Yet at the same time, he could not bear the thought of abandoning the people who had become precious to him in this new world. Instead of choosing one side, he decided to search for a way to achieve both. He would find a method to return home without saying goodbye to his companions. Claude, Lillian, and Penne all promised to help him. Together, they agreed on their next objective, conquering the northern dungeon and reaching the nation of Teradinus, where a sage might know the secret of traveling between worlds. As the group looked toward the future, Amelia secretly set out to reunite with Hibiki as well. Unknown to them, darker forces were still moving in the shadows. The woman behind Anastasia's actions had survived and vowed to continue her mission. Her next target remained Claude, and she promised that the next attempt would not fail. With new allies, new enemies, and a renewed sense of purpose, Hibiki prepared for the next stage of his journey. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time he knew exactly what he wanted: to protect the bonds he had formed while finding a way back home. As preparations for the journey to the northern dungeon continued, Hibiki found himself reflecting on the life he had left behind. During a conversation with Lillian and Claude, they asked about the people he missed most from his original world. Hibiki admitted that he missed his family, his friends, and the peaceful moments he used to spend drinking tea at a small cafe run by a childhood friend's family. Thinking about them made him realize that they were probably worried about his sudden disappearance. However, despite the loneliness he sometimes felt, he no longer considered himself alone. Claude, Lillian, and Penne had become precious companions who supported him every day, helping fill the void left by the people he missed. Not long afterward, Hibiki was summoned to the guild. The guildmaster had heard about the group's victory against the Silver Diamond Wolf and was astonished that adventurers of their level had managed to defeat such a dangerous monster. While he praised Hibiki for the accomplishment, he also complained that he should have trained him even harder. Hibiki suspected that every compliment from the guildmaster secretly came with extra homework attached. Before the guildmaster could force him into another brutal training session, the true reason for the meeting was revealed. The guild had decided to reward the group for eliminating the monster before it could become a threat to the city. The reward was far larger than Hibiki expected. With the money they received, the group could properly prepare for their upcoming expedition to the northern dungeon and their eventual journey to Teradinus, the underground city where Hibiki hoped to find clues about returning home. To gather supplies, the group visited a famous merchant company that specialized in rare equipment. Surrounded by countless weapons, armor sets, and magical items, everyone eagerly began shopping. Lillian quickly found equipment suited to her magical abilities, while Claude focused on practical gear designed for survival in dangerous battles. Hibiki used his appraisal skill to examine the items they considered purchasing. The merchant was shocked by the amount of information Hibiki could see and became even more surprised after learning that his appraisal skill had already reached level 5. Most appraisers never advanced beyond level 1 or 2, and even professionals rarely reached level 3. Realizing just how unusual Hibiki's talent was, the merchant gained a newfound respect for him. After completing their shopping, Hibiki decided to test a newly unlocked support ability called Rescue Measure. Activating the skill summoned a holy beast known as Carbuncle. Everyone expected an impressive and majestic divine creature, but instead a tiny and adorable animal appeared. Lillian instantly fell in love with its appearance and wanted to cuddle it, while the others could not stop admiring how cute it looked. Carbuncle attempted to act dignified and important, but his efforts were ruined by the constant attention. Carbuncle tried very hard to look like a legendary holy beast, but everyone kept treating him like an unusually magical plush toy. Penne, meanwhile, appeared to know him already and immediately began ordering him around, leading to several humorous arguments between the two. Once the excitement settled, Carbuncle demonstrated why he was considered a holy beast. Using his divine power, he effortlessly removed the curse that had burdened Claude for so long. The curse vanished instantly, leaving Claude overwhelmed with relief and gratitude. Although Carbuncle pretended not to care about the praise, it was obvious he enjoyed being appreciated. Shortly after completing his task, the holy beast abruptly disappeared, leaving everyone confused but thankful. Soon afterward, an intense heat wave struck the region. Temperatures climbed close to 40 degrees Celsius, making life miserable for adventurers and civilians alike. Seeking relief, the group experimented with various methods to stay cool. Lillian used her water magic and support spells to create refreshing bubbles and cooling effects, earning praise from everyone around her. During this period, Hibiki learned about a magical item known as the Tokoharu Streetlight, a special piece of clothing capable of regulating body temperature regardless of environmental conditions. Unfortunately, the materials needed to create it were extremely rare. Determined to help his friends, Hibiki volunteered to gather the materials himself. Accompanied by a merchant named Alicia, he traveled deep into a forest in search of a magical flower required for production. While traveling together, Alicia commented on how much effort Hibiki was willing to make for others. Hibiki explained that Claude and Lillian had always supported and protected him whenever he was struggling. Helping them now felt like the natural thing to do. His loyalty and gratitude impressed Alicia, and the journey ultimately ended successfully with the required materials secured. Alicia realized that sending Hibiki on a simple gathering mission was impossible because he somehow turned every errand into a heroic quest. Upon returning, Hibiki was warmly welcomed by Claude and Lillian. Remembering his stories about spending time in cafes back home, Lillian had even prepared tea for him. The thoughtful gesture deeply touched him and reminded him of the comforts he missed from his old life. As they prepared for departure, Hibiki noticed significant improvements among the group. Lillian's class had evolved from sage candidate to a true sage, dramatically increasing her magical potential. Meanwhile, Hibiki's magical grimoire had advanced as well, unlocking new magical knowledge and possibly allowing him to finally learn proper magic in the future. When the day of departure arrived, Hibiki revealed a surprise. Using the materials he had gathered, he had obtained Tokoharu streetlights for both Claude and Lillian. The temperature-regulating clothing would protect them during their travels. Both were deeply moved by the gift, and seeing their happiness made all of Hibiki's efforts worthwhile. Finally, the group set out for the northern dungeon and the distant city of Teradinus. Unbeknownst to them, powerful enemies were already watching from the shadows and plotting to stop Hibiki before he reached his destination. At the same time, another group led by Taiki, Kyoko, and their teacher was searching for him, determined to reunite with him no matter the obstacles. As both groups moved toward the same goal, the next stage of Hibiki's adventure quietly began, bringing him closer to the answers he had been seeking since arriving in this world. As the journey toward the northern dungeon continued, Hibiki finally got rid of the embarrassing outfit he had been forced to wear earlier and felt relieved. The weather had also become cooler, making travel much more comfortable than during the recent heat wave. Feeling confident after everything he had accomplished, Hibiki proudly commented on how much stronger he had become since arriving in this world. However, Claude immediately dismissed the idea. He explained that Hibiki was simply experiencing the excitement of adventure and that true strength could only be achieved through constant training and experience. Hibiki learned that Claude could turn even a confidence boost into a lecture. While Lillian encouraged Hibiki and admired his progress, Claude continued his strict lessons, warning him not to rely too heavily on skills. According to him, there could be situations where special abilities became unusable and only real combat experience would matter. The journey itself presented unexpected challenges. The rough movement of the carriage left Hibiki feeling nauseous, and he soon experienced motion sickness for the first time in his life. Forced to step outside to recover, he realized that adventuring involved far more difficulties than simply fighting monsters. Determined to improve Hibiki's combat abilities, Claude soon began another training session. This time, he wanted Hibiki to learn how to fight monsters without depending entirely on weapons or skills. The training target was a group of slimes. At first, Hibiki struggled badly, his attacks missed repeatedly, and he found himself overwhelmed by fear. Facing real danger reminded him that death was still a possibility. Thoughts of the promises he had made and the people waiting for him filled his mind. Refusing to give up, he continued fighting despite his fear. His determination was rewarded when a notification suddenly appeared from his support ability. Through his efforts, he had learned his first offensive spell, Fire. Excited by the achievement, Hibiki immediately tested the spell. Unfortunately, the resulting flame was much smaller and weaker than he expected. After all that effort, Hibiki's first fire spell looked more suitable for lighting candles than defeating monsters. Even so, Claude praised him, explaining that learning magic through hard work was an important milestone. Although the spell was unimpressive, it marked the beginning of Hibiki's journey as a magic user. That evening, while resting around a campfire, Claude explained more about their destination. Beyond the northern dungeon lay Teradinus, the underground city where Hibiki hoped to find answers about returning home. However, reaching it would require conquering the dungeon first. Claude revealed a shocking fact: throughout history, no one had ever successfully completed the northern dungeon. The news stunned Hibiki, but Claude reassured him that he would help guide him through whatever challenges awaited them. Motivated by Claude's confidence, Hibiki became even more determined to grow stronger. Later that night, while examining his status screen and newly acquired abilities, the group encountered a group of refugees fleeing from a nearby village. The villagers explained that countless undead monsters had suddenly appeared and begun attacking. Although the guild had been contacted, reinforcements had not yet arrived. The safest option would have been to avoid the area entirely, but Lillian wanted to continue forward because she hoped to help Hibiki reach his goals as quickly as possible. Claude also believed that fighting the undead would provide valuable experience. Reluctantly, Hibiki agreed to help. When they arrived near the village, they found it surrounded by wandering undead. Although the monsters moved slowly, their overwhelming numbers created a frightening atmosphere. During their investigation, the group unexpectedly reunited with Fauna, a thief they had met before. She explained that she had been monitoring the situation after noticing strange activity around the local graveyard and had already set traps to gather information. Fauna shared an important piece of advice regarding Hibiki's appraisal skill. She suggested that repeatedly appraising traps and suspicious objects could help him gain new abilities. Following her suggestion, Hibiki experimented with appraisal and eventually earned a title related to repeatedly falling into traps. Hibiki somehow managed to turn repeatedly triggering traps into a legitimate training method. Although embarrassed, he also gained useful experience and learned how versatile his skill could be. The investigation eventually led them to a church located beside the graveyard. Curiously, there were no undead inside. Fauna revealed that the monsters only appeared whenever the church bell rang. Moments later, the bell sounded again, and another wave of undead emerged. Claude immediately split the group, ordering Hibiki and Lillian to investigate the bell tower while the others fought off the monsters. To their surprise, nobody was operating the bell. The mystery deepened when the undead continued appearing despite the tower being empty. Hibiki used appraisal on the bell, but it appeared completely ordinary. Refusing to give up, he began appraising everything nearby. Eventually, one of his abilities activated and revealed hidden information. What seemed like an ordinary object was actually a magical mirror. Upon closer inspection, Hibiki discovered that a second bell existed inside the mirror, and this hidden bell was responsible for summoning the undead. Unfortunately, exposing the truth triggered a fierce battle. The enemy controlling the mirror attacked, forcing Claude, Lillian, Fauna, and the others into combat. Hibiki supported the group with appraisal and his newly learned fire spell while everyone worked together to destroy the magical artifact. After an intense struggle, the mirror was finally shattered. The moment it broke, the endless flow of undead stopped. Peace returned to the village, and the grateful townspeople began rebuilding their homes. Although questions remained about who had created the mirror and orchestrated the attack, the immediate crisis had been resolved. Fauna left the investigation to the guild and said goodbye to the group before continuing on her own journey. As they resumed their travels toward the northern dungeon, Claude reflected on the valuable lessons Hibiki had learned about perseverance, awareness, and personal growth. Hibiki, however, reached a much simpler conclusion. After surviving hordes of undead, deadly traps, hidden magic, and another round of Claude's relentless training, he jokingly decided that zombies were nowhere near as terrifying as Claude himself. Laughing together, the group continued onward toward the challenges that awaited them in the northern dungeon. A mysterious figure reflected on past mistakes that could never be undone. Despite countless regrets, one belief remained unchanged: Hibiki had to survive. The figure hoped he would continue growing stronger, find happiness, and one day prevent a future catastrophe involving a sleeping girl whose awakening could threaten the entire world. Unaware of these hidden concerns, Hibiki continued traveling with Claude, Lillian, and Bene toward the underground city of Teradinus. Along the way, they arrived at a town that served as the entrance to the northern dungeon. Their arrival immediately attracted suspicion from the town guards, who questioned why Claude was traveling with what appeared to be children. Lillian quickly defended Hibiki, insisting that he was actually an adult despite his youthful appearance. After Claude presented his guild identification, the misunderstanding was cleared up. The guards came looking for suspicious activity and somehow ended up debating Hibiki's age instead. Excited about the possibility of meeting Amaria again, one of the first friends he had made in this world, Hibiki eagerly prepared for the journey ahead. Before entering the dungeon, however, adventurers below C rank were required to submit a detailed exploration plan. Claude explained that the guild enforced this rule to reduce unnecessary deaths caused by reckless adventurers. Lillian volunteered to create the schedule and carefully planned travel times, rest periods, and combat preparations based on the dungeon's 30-floor structure and its powerful boss monsters. While reviewing supplies, Hibiki suddenly realized he had forgotten extra underwear. Concerned about running out of clean clothes during the expedition, he argued that magically cleaned clothing was not the same as properly washed clothing. After an awkward discussion, Ben reminded him that his copy-and-paste skill could duplicate items. Hibiki immediately solved the problem by creating additional copies of his underwear, much to everyone's embarrassment. Out of all the dangers waiting inside the dungeon, Hibiki had somehow declared underwear logistics the most urgent threat. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the world, a mysterious woman searching for someone named Eibel confronted an old acquaintance. Their tense exchange hinted at a troubled shared past and suggested that larger events were unfolding behind the scenes. Back at the guild, Lillian's exploration plan received high praise and was officially approved. With permission granted, the group entered the northern dungeon. The atmosphere felt heavy and mysterious, and Claude instructed Hibiki not to rely on his world map skill. Instead, he wanted him to sharpen his natural awareness and survival instincts. Soon after entering, the group encountered what appeared to be a dead-end wall. Using appraisal, Hibiki discovered that it was actually a monster called Rockdrock, disguised as stone. Claude's spear proved ineffective against the creature, but Lillian stepped forward and destroyed it with a single powerful attack. Her impressive strength highlighted how much she had grown as an adventurer. The Rockdrock spent years perfecting its disguise only to be defeated moments after being noticed. As they ventured deeper, Hibiki noticed something troubling. His support abilities informed him that the divine connection empowering some of his skills was weakening. The dungeon interfered with divine power, causing abilities like Eye of the Sage to become less effective. Even his archery accuracy suffered dramatically. Discouraged, Hibiki confessed his fears to his companions. Instead of criticizing him, Claude, Lillian, and Benet reassured him that he was not alone. They reminded him that they were comrades, friends, and even family. Their encouragement restored his confidence and helped him realize that true strength came from relying on others. Unfortunately, Claude quickly returned to his role as a strict mentor and announced more training. He reminded Hibiki that skills could fail, but hard work and adaptability would always remain valuable. As the group continued deeper into the dungeon, they prepared to face challenges that would test not only their strength, but also their trust in one another. Hibiki and his companions continued their journey through the northern dungeon. Since his special abilities had become weaker inside the dungeon, Claude allowed him to use skill rental, a rare ability that let him temporarily borrow another person's skills. Thanks to it, Hibiki was able to compensate for his reduced archery accuracy and fight more effectively. As they advanced, Hibiki's recently acquired trap detection skill proved useful. He repeatedly spotted dangerous traps hidden along the path, including teleportation traps that could send adventurers to unknown locations. Claude praised his progress, noting that the group's pace through the dungeon was excellent. The traps were working overtime, but Hibiki had apparently been promoted to their full-time enemy. During a rest break, Benny complained about being hungry again. Hibiki solved the problem by using his copy and paste skill to duplicate food. Watching sandwiches appear out of thin air amazed everyone. The ability seemed incredibly powerful, leading Benny to joke about duplicating money. Support-chan immediately warned them that creating counterfeit currency was illegal, quickly ending that discussion. That night, Hibiki had an interesting idea. Since he could borrow skills through skill rental, he wondered whether copy and paste could permanently duplicate those borrowed abilities. Curious, he tested the theory and was shocked when it worked. After practicing Claude's borrowed skill long enough, he managed to gain a permanent version of it. Excited by the discovery, Hibiki asked Claude to lend him even more skills. Claude agreed, but only under one condition: intense training. What followed was a grueling session of non-stop practice. Hibiki spent hours mastering movement abilities such as instant step and dragon step until he could use them naturally. Claude heard the words new skill and immediately translated them into new training session. After several days of progress, the group finally reached the boss room on the 10th floor. Before entering, they encountered a severely injured adventurer. Claude quickly healed him and learned that 3 silver emerald wolves guarded the chamber. 2 were strong, but the third was on an entirely different level. The adventurer warned them to be careful before leaving. The party entered the boss chamber and found themselves inside what looked like a vast forest beneath a bright sky. Claude explained that boss rooms often created environments perfectly suited to the monsters living there. Using his map ability, Hibiki located the wolves. 2 were nearby while a third, much stronger one lurked deeper in the forest. The group quickly defeated the first 2 wolves through teamwork. However, the strongest wolf suddenly appeared and separated Hibiki from the others. Alone in the forest, Hibiki found himself facing the powerful level 43 wolf. The monster's killing intent was overwhelming. When Claude and the others tried to help, they discovered the wolf possessed a unique ability that prevented physical attacks from reaching it. Neither Claude's spear nor Lillian's magic could break through its defense. Just as the situation seemed hopeless, a sacred beast appeared and explained the true nature of Hibiki's sacred master-servant contract. After gaining a better understanding of the ability, Hibiki activated it. His bond with his companions allowed them to reunite despite the distance separating them. Drawing strength from his allies, Hibiki used a new ability called Level Trust, temporarily increasing his power. Together, the group prepared to challenge the powerful wolf. The wolf had carefully isolated Hibiki, only to discover that friendship apparently ignored dungeon mechanics. But before the battle could truly end, strange events began unfolding. Protective abilities started failing, mysterious forces interfered with rescue skills, and somewhere far away, a sleeping girl began to awaken. What started as a dungeon battle was becoming part of a much larger crisis, one that threatened to change everything. The chaos starts among the gods after Hibiki suddenly disappears. His companions are unable to determine where he has been sent, though the divine connection linking him to them has not completely vanished. The gods realize that a powerful force has interfered with the dungeon's mechanisms, something beyond even their ability to control. At the same time, forgotten memories begin returning to them, revealing the existence of the 12th god, Rishinger, whose awakening threatens the balance of the world. The gods were supposed to be in charge, which made it especially awkward when nobody knew where Hibiki had gone. Meanwhile, Hibiki finds himself trapped in an unfamiliar part of the dungeon. When he tries to use his world map and other skills, he discovers that several abilities are no longer functioning properly. Before he can figure out what is happening, he is confronted by Ibel, a mysterious woman who admits responsibility for previous incidents that endangered him. She reveals that she has created a barrier that hides them from the gods, and explains that she intends to kill him. According to Ibel, Hibiki has interfered with the world's predetermined order. She believes that Claude must die to preserve the balance of the world, and Hibiki's actions have prevented that outcome. Although Hibiki struggles to understand her reasoning, it becomes clear that she serves a higher power and views him as a threat. As the battle begins, Hibiki is completely outmatched. Ipra's strength far exceeds anything he can handle, forcing him to dodge and retreat repeatedly. During the fight, Hibiki suddenly finds himself in a strange dreamlike cafe where he meets a woman who looks remarkably similar to him. She speaks warmly to him and discusses the nature of the world. She explains that the gods control everything, including skills and occupations, but questions whether such control truly leads to happiness. The woman asks Hibiki whether he regrets coming to this world. Reflecting on his journey, he admits that although he has suffered greatly and faced countless dangers, he has also gained precious friends and companions. Those relationships have helped him grow stronger and become a better person. While he still wishes to return home someday, he treasures the experiences he has gained. Satisfied with his answer, the woman gives him a mysterious gift before sending him back. Hibiki somehow managed to take a philosophical coffee break in the middle of a life-or-death battle. Awakening in the middle of battle, Hibiki discovers that Support-chan has returned. Although victory seems nearly impossible, she encourages him to keep fighting. Following her guidance, Hibiki uses every available skill to survive. During the struggle, he intentionally allows his level to drop to level 1, triggering the activation of his unique skill, Tutorial. The skill summons Imaria, a guide who considers Hibiki a dear friend. Despite the danger, she arrives to help him. At the same time, Claude, Rillian, and the others establish contact and provide valuable information about Ipru's weakness. Working together, they devise a plan involving reflected attacks and coordinated magic. Through teamwork and trust, Hibiki and his allies finally manage to overcome Ipru's projection and force her to retreat. Ipru carefully prepared an elaborate plan, only to be defeated by the one thing Hibiki always relied on: friends showing up at the right moment. After the battle, everyone reunites and celebrates Hibiki's survival. The gods acknowledge that his greatest strength is not any special skill or power, but the bonds he shares with his friends. With the crisis temporarily resolved, Hibiki and his companions set their sights on Terra Dinas, determined to continue their journey together while preparing for the challenges that still lie ahead.